Welcome to all the mini enthusiasts, Jaguars, classic cars generally. Amir's just come back tonight. He's just got back from where he lives in Bosnia. He's had Christmas and New Year or so. We're going to start on the E-type in the morning. You can see in the background here I painted this blue, the skeleton of it. We took the welder out. Obviously there's steel to go in here on both sides and on the back. Which I'll buy in the morning, and I think I'll even paint the machine up as well. So it's looking a bit old and tired, so I'll probably do that. I just wanted to do a few shout outs because there's some websites that I've just got onto recently, really good stuff, and I'd like you guys along with me to me I can't get enough of the mini stuff. I know I'm retired and you guys have to go to work all day, and I'm really sorry about that. But you'll be 60 one day and you get retired, so I've done my bit, guys. So the first shout out's for a guy called Martin, another Scotsman. God, Scotsmen and minis seem to be massive. We've got Sean C, DB, Doug, Piper Doug. Who else is there? Martin. This Martin I'm giving you to now. He's a Scotsman but lives in France. Piper Doug obviously in Canada in the prairies. Oh, there's a bunch of Scottish guys. In fact, funnily enough, the two main shout-outs I want to give you, they're both Scottish. So, his name is Martin. It's called Mini Man Shed, and what he's got is Aussie 74. It's a mini clubman he's got. Maybe he calls it Aussie, and I think it is a 74. But he lives in France. Mini Man Shed, really, really good. He's spent quite some years doing the body work on his clubman. He's made a brilliant job. The panels he's replaced and repaired. I mean, it's top quality work, absolutely no doubt about it. Alright, so that's Mini Man Shed. The other one is Classic Mini Maintenance Repairs. I didn't get the guy's name, but Classic Mini Maintenance and Repairs. Another Scottish fella. He sounds more kind of Glasgow area. But anyway. So, you know, have a look in on both of these. So, Mini Man Shed and Classic Mini Maintenance and Repairs. And this second guy who's doing Classic Mini Maintenance and Repairs is showing a lot of the basic stuff like maintenance and stuff like that. But for a lot of the guys out there, especially people like Josh, who has already said he has no mechanical skills, these are perfect things for him. The very last one is not minis, but he is an ex-mini guy. And his name is Trevor, and it's called Trev's Blog, Trevs blog, Trev's Blog, and he's got a CA Bedford van. I don't know if many of you guys will remember them, and he's put a VTEC engine in it, but this guy's a professional metal worker, and in some of his other vlogs they've had clients where they've done 250 Ferrari, 250 GT Ferraris, replicas obviously because they're like, I don't know, 6 or 8 million or something. And they've actually built all the panel work and made them look like a 250 GT. Unbelievable, because they were so rare. I don't know how many were made, not many. So Trev's Blog, really good, and his metal work. I mean, Amir and I do a reasonably good job, but this guy is top notch. He does it professionally, so I mean, this is a guy to learn from, and his vlogs are really good. Yeah, so they're the shout outs. So tomorrow this should be dry. So in fact, it's tack already. So tomorrow we'll paint this, put it all back together, and then, as I say, it looks a bit nicer now, a bit cleaner, and then I'll sheet it in. All the drawers are finished, everything's ready to go, and yeah, so it's looking good. The last thing a couple of the last things I wanted to show you. I'll pick up the camera and see how much we've got. Oh, okay, somebody mentioned about these fillers, and I can't remember who it was now, but what he's saying is absolutely true. Is the problem with these is, if you've got a full tank of petrol, they can splosh out of here. So what I'll do is I'll put some kind of rubber membrane on there. In fact, if you look at this Monza one, it actually has that rubber membrane in there. You can see it, and it's on a spring there, so you can see it. The problem with this one is that you've got to kind of glue this on. So I'll see if it's going to work. It does look nice, but so does that one, but it's a bit manky inside. Anyway, we'll see what happens. But yeah, this one is more of a glue on. But I tell you what you'd have to definitely do with this is you'd have to put it on tight onto the ring and then get it in the right position and mark it so that when you pushed it on, otherwise, you know, you could put it on and the thread might be in the wrong way, and by the time it's tight it could be in the wrong position. You really want it to flip up or sideways or whatever. This one's got a spring on it, whereas this one doesn't. So, you know, I know it's something to think about. Anyway, yeah, so lastly, for Doug, Piper Doug up in the prairies, it's fairly obvious that to all of us that, you know, I mean, Doug being where he is, it's very hard for him to get panels and stuff, and even though they're not that expensive, just shipping them would be more than the cost of the panels, I would imagine, especially where he is. So he's done a brilliant job on this press that he's made. Really great idea, and obviously he's made the throat that deep so he can do the floor panels in one shot. And what I would say to you, Doug, is at the end of the day, you've got that press. You might as well put when you're doing the floors, when you're doing the strengthening in the floors, you could do it with just a piece of steel on your press rather than roll it in. But the one thing I would say to you is now you've got an English wheel. I don't know how familiar you are with the English wheels or not. I'm certainly not. But what I would definitely do is put a line where you're going to make the new floor, where you put the lines where the strengthening pieces are going to be, where the upsets are, if you like. Run it through the English wheel first. Not too tight, but reasonably tight, all the way through the whole sheet, because what it'll do is it'll thin the metal out and it'll stretch it so that when you go to put your you know, your strengthening pieces in, the flutes if you like, what it'll do is it won't bend the sheet will go all over the place if you don't flatten it out. So flatten it out, do it on a small piece of metal if you don't believe me, or you think it's not going to be that bad, but believe me, a long piece of metal without being pre-stretched and then a section being pushed into it like that, it will make the thing really, really wonky, and especially for the length of the floors. So really, if you're doing anything like that, if you're doing any bead work or you're doing anything where you're making a recess or a channel, try and if you've got an English wheel of course, try and put it through at least 3 or 4 times, maybe half a dozen times, and what I'll do is it'll pre-stretch it so when you now have this divot in it, it won't make the metal all, you know, kind of wonky, especially a big sheet like that. I also was talking to him, or he mentioned about a beading tool. Now this is from Frost Restorations, and they're not that expensive. The problem is they come with a handle, and when you're working on your own, to try and turn that handle and hold the steel, it's a waste of time. So this is why I end up using these motors here from the Land Rover, because the kids only use it 2 or 3 times you know, in a year. So I thought, well, why not use it? But it's easy enough to get that. And what I would say to you, Doug, is if you want something like this, with your engineering skills, and especially running a farm, I'm sure you've got lots of steel and things around. You know, you could actually even make one of these. I don't know if it'd be worthwhile, but you certainly can get the cogs and the dies. You can buy them separate, Harbour Freight, wherever. But maybe it's something you want to have a think about, because and this one's a particularly good one because you can see how thick it is, but I see some from Harbour Freight and they're not even half the size of this, and all they do is they twist between here and here. You can see how this one works. You see I can easily control that, and then I'll have a switch here to make it come back the other way. Oh. Hang on. The back must be going down, that's what it is. And you can see I can go reasonably, you would never go that quick, but you can. And I've got this foot pedal that I made up. It's actually from the Land Rover. In fact, I haven't even adjusted the pin yet. But it does work well, and you can see there I can get a really fine control on it. And I just did it with a chain drive there. But it's something you might think about, Doug. Maybe you could even put it in some way, use it into your frame so that it holds it straight. But I would put the long ones in the other way. So anyway, that's the camera going, so take care. Bye for now and see you soon. Bye, take care.